pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Si, push on the back of my seat, would you? Thank you. Keep me from across the floor.
Good morning. Welcome to the September meeting of the Delaware County Transportation Improvement District. I'm Chris Boserman, Delaware County Engineer. I have the honor of chairing our board. And to my right is Tracy Davies, our County Administrator, who is the Vice Chair, and our Secretary to my left, Cy Keeley, and two members at large, Patrick Blaney and Tom Price. Thank you all for being here this morning. Also, I believe joining us online is State Representative Beth Lear, who is an ex officio member of our board. With that, is there any public comment? You guys are uncharacteristically quiet. Item 3 on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our August 14th meeting. Is there any corrections?
Move to accept, please. Move to accept.
We have a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Are there any reports from any of our board members?
The weather has treated the road building business very well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the only industry that's benefited from our drought is construction's been pretty uninterrupted by weather. There aren't many weather claims or delays going on right now. Hearing no other reports, I'll move on to our Secretary Treasurer's report.
Current cash balance is $3,188,508.19. That's all I have today.
Are there any questions for Cy? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the Treasurer's report.
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 is staff report. I'd turn this portion over to Chief Deputy Engineer Rob Riley and ask you to go through our updates.
All right, well, thank you. Good morning. Very short update for you this month. Touch on the 3 projects we currently have going on right now, starting with the Silicon Heartland Regional Projects. Gave you an update last month. I don't have anything significant to report this month other than we're continuing work on the 2 roundabouts located at Center Village and Fancher Roads, and coordinating with ODOT on a 3rd roundabout at Route 37 and County Line. So the project design is continuing. We'll have final plans in about the next 6 months or so, and keep you updated on that as we move along. Next update, the 713637 interchange project. We are essentially done with the Phase A plans. Those are ready to file with the ODOT Central Office. I do know ODOT has a contract they'll be advertising this month for the construction, inspection, and engineering services through District 6. And so ODOT will be managing the construction phase of the project, which we would expect to bid in the spring and then have construction underway next summer or at fall at the latest. So that'll be about a roughly 18 to 24 month project is what I've heard at the latest. So I would look for completion probably late 2026 or more than likely early 2027 on that. Last but not least, the Orange Road grade separation. We've had some activity recently with the federal funding application I mentioned last month. ODOT and the Ohio Rail Development Commission have graciously offered to submit an application on our behalf to the federal USDOT for their rail crossing elimination program. That application will go in very shortly, requesting $21 million for that project. And then we have a second request through the state of Ohio's grade crossing elimination program for an additional $5 million. So more to come on that. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I think that both applications have a very good chance of being funded. So I'll keep you updated on that as I hear more. The new project discussion, mentioned these at the last meeting. Tiffany Jenkins reported on the regional resurfacing project. We would like your approval in the form of Resolution 2024-08 to authorize the application of a funding application. We can touch on that in just a minute. And then secondly, the Stockwell Road improvements. We are continuing to coordinate with Porter and Trenton Townships on a project that will essentially cut down the hill and improve the sight distance on Stockwell Road, rebuild that section, as well as potentially resurface the rest of Stockwell Road. So again, still in the early stages of that, but more to come. I'll keep you updated as that moves forward. So that is all I have for a monthly report. If there are any questions, happy to answer those.
So the Orange Road Bridge separation, is that funding the construction part of it?
That's correct. We have funded the design to date locally through the county. Design plans are, I would say, roughly 2/3 of the way done. The grants that I referenced are for construction only. The total price tag of that project is unfortunately ballooned due to significant inflation, but it's over $40 million now for the estimated construction and construction inspection cost. We currently have about an $8.5 million commitment from Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. We were successful a couple of years ago in getting a commitment from MORPC of STP funds for that project. So again, what we're trying to do is close the rest of that gap. We can use up to 80% total federal funding on this project, so we'll be approaching that 80% limit if we're successful on the $21 million ask. Again, we already have about $8.5 million. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd move ahead to item 7, which Rob teed up for us, which is a authorization to submit an application to MORPC for federal funding assistance in the pavement preservation category of funding, and would entertain a motion.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's have discussion. Any questions or comments about that application?
Yes, so I gave you a summary sheet showing the roads we are proposing for this application. Involves 8 different roads and 9 different political subdivisions within those roads. Total estimated cost for this work would be about $4.7 million. We would be requesting 80% funding, which would be about $3.77 million. And again, this falls in what MORPC refers to as kind of a preservation category. The amount of funding in that category is very limited, so we will unfortunately be competing for a relatively small pot of money, and we'll certainly try to make our case for that this is a worthwhile project. And frankly, I think it's one of those projects that really ticks a lot of boxes in my mind. Involves a lot of political jurisdictions, benefits a lot of folks, and kind of the cherry on top is this is a relatively easy project to develop, and so it can be done quickly. We can have this project ready for funding if there is an opening in the MORPC program. Move it up schedule if possible. So recognize Tiffany Jenkins. Tiffany's really done the heavy lifting on this, coordinating with the other, our transportation partners throughout Delaware County. Tiffany, anything to add?
Rob, just briefly, could you talk about the classification system and what roads are and are not eligible for this funding?
Yes. Great questions. Glad you asked that. The roads that are eligible for this pot of money are collector and arterial roads. And so the vast majority of our roads in Delaware County are considered local roads. And so the number of roads that are actually eligible for this funding are relatively limited. And add to the fact that we have some roads that just don't fit the schedule of when this money would be available. Either they've been resurfaced recently, or we have projects that would involve those roads where resurfacing them as part of this program would not be a good choice. That very quickly whittled down the list of potential candidates to really not much more than what's in front of you. So these, in my mind, in our mind, is the best best roads, best candidates, and really represent, I would say, most of the candidates that are even eligible.
The classification system isn't done by us. The federal government and ODOT create this map, and we get some input into that. It's done every 10 years. Is that right, Rob?
Yes.
They did kind of break tradition and open that process in response to Intel, because we have road classifications that'll change as a result of the traffic impacts of that project. But we're basically handed a map that says these are the functional classifications of your roads. So, Tom?
Bridges are not included.
I'm sorry?
Bridges are not included.
Bridges are not included in this program. So there are federal programs for bridges. There is a local bridge program that is administered through ODOT, and the County Engineers Association actually has a role in allocating those funds. For larger bridge projects, there are some big bridge projects. There are direct federal applications now that can be made for those or for other
These arterial roads over east, in the eastern part of the county, with the Intel, is there any bridges over there that you're gonna be looking at anyway?
We're primarily our bridge inventory is in pretty good shape county-wide, and so I don't think we have any glaring bridges, other than if we have to widen some roads, we'll have to be widened bridges to accommodate that widening in some locations. But primarily that'll be driven by capacity of the roadway, not the condition of those structures.
Thank you.
I would just add, we have a lot of structures that meet the state definition of bridge, being 10-foot span or greater. The federal definition of a bridge is actually 20 foot span or greater, and so that is the the structure has to be 20 feet to qualify for the federal funding. I would say, particularly in the eastern side of the county, we have a lot of structures that fall into that 10 to 20 foot span that, as Chairman Vosman said, are generally in pretty good shape. We have a handful that we'll be replacing through our normal replacement program funded locally, but our inventory is probably the envy of a lot of other counties throughout the state. So we have been successful. Actually, the Warrensburg Road Truss is a example of a federal bridge that we got some help with, but we don't have a whole lot more structures that are even eligible at this point.
You know where that Warrensburg Bridge is, right, Tom?
I'm thankful you're gonna do it this winter.
Yeah, we're in a very good position in this county, all things considered.
If our application is successful, when would the funding be available?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, I think we're shooting for 2029 or 2030? 2030.
And that's not because we're not ready till then, it's because the funding is
Cycle.
actually allocated out that far.
But again, this will be a pretty easy project to develop, get the plans ready. We would be in a position of potentially having this ready much sooner than that, and if there is either an opening in the program to ask for that funding sooner, or there is another option to actually take a loan in advance of those future funds and proceed that way. We'll know more obviously in about 6 or 8 months.
Any other questions? We already have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. We do not see a need at this point for the October TID meeting, and so if there's no, is there any objection to us canceling the October meeting? Then we'll proceed as if that's the case. Is there any other business to come before the board this morning?
None here?
Hearing none, I will declare us adjourned. We stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance and
Thank you.
for your participation.